Hello Pokemon fans, I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to SOS chain for an Espeon. Now as you guys see here, I am on Route 4, which is just east of the hotel on the second island, right before Paniyola Town. What you guys are going to want to do here is hunt in that grass right here that I just entered to hunt down an Eevee. Eevee is only about a 5% chance of being found, so you're going to have to look for a little while. But in the meantime, I'm going to explain to you guys a little bit about SOS chaining. A couple things you need to know before you try to attempt this for yourself. The ally that you guys find is always going to be of the same family as the caller, with a couple of exceptions. So for instance, if you find, say, a Magikarp, you're going to potentially get an SOS Pokemon of a Magikarp or a Gyarados. Or a Goldeen, you're going to get a Goldeen or a Seeking. So you're always going to get something of the same family. The other thing that you need to know is that the lower that the caller's HP is, the higher chance it will call for allies. So you always want to make sure you have as little health as possible on the Pokemon that you want to call out for allies. I personally, at this point in the game, am not far enough to get an Adrenaline Orb. I have not beaten the second Grand Trial yet, so I have not been able to purchase Adrenaline Orbs yet. That's because I'm playing the game very slowly, catching everything as I go, and catching everything that's possible as I go. So once you get an Adrenaline Orb, you can actually use it on your opponent, and you'll be able to have the caller call for help a lot more often. So Adrenaline Orbs really can help a lot with that. Also, a sleeping or frozen Pokemon does not call allies, so you want to make sure that you don't have that any status conditions on the Pokemon that you want to be calling for an ally to come in. Also, if the caller faints, the ally becomes the new caller. However, this only happens if the ally is of the same family and as the original caller. So if you knock out one that you're like, oh shoot, I wanna make sure that I don't knock this out. I want to make sure it keeps calling, but oh man, I knocked it out while there was another Eevee on the board. Then there you go. You're still gonna have an Eevee calling, so it's not that serious. That's one good thing about this. So you want to remember that. Also, if the caller runs out of PP, it will use Struggle and probably knock itself out. So that's another problem as well. You got to make sure that you do this in a fashion where you don't have that Pokemon knock itself out. But you know, if you do that, I guess you've already been at it for a while anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So how to chain. You're going to want to find a wild Pokemon that calls the Pokemon you're looking for. This can be anywhere, in grass, caves, fishing, and some of them don't call allies as well, so you got to make sure you research the Pokemon that you want to have. You want to lower the caller's HP as much as possible to increase the chance of calling. So that means you're going to want to have something like False Swipe. Now, as you guys can see here, I do have an Eevee on the board here, so I'm going to want to hold on to this as long as possible. I don't want to let this thing go. I want to make sure that I keep it on the board, at least until it calls another Pokemon. So I'm going to use False Swipe here. That's another thing that you need to know. You want to make sure that you have False Swipe on one of your Pokemon. You can either teach it to Spearow or Fomantis. I chose Fomantis because, well, it's a lot more usable on my team than Spearow. So you want to get that HP down as low as possible. That's a big deal. So I'm going to hold on to this Eevee. The way you do that is by knocking out every single one of the allies that it calls in until you get what you want. So my target is always going to be the ally. Now, on the turns where it doesn't call for help, or if it calls for help and nothing appears, I usually just switch out to another Pokemon, or I just keep using False Swipe. That's what you have to do to keep the chain going. A new ally comes in, you knock it out if you don't want it. Then in the turns in between, you want to heal, you want to use False Swipe, you want to switch out back and forth, whatever you need to do to waste time and waste a turn for the Pokemon that you want to call for an ally to actually call for that ally. So that's what I'm going to be doing here for a while. It takes a long time, guys. So definitely be ready to sit and wait for a long time, especially because Espeon, as an SOS Pokemon, is only at 5%. So you're trying to catch a Pokemon that is 5% of 5%. It's not easy. It's definitely time consuming. You can always, of course, just catch an Eevee and evolve it, but I personally found it much more satisfying to chain for these. I've already caught myself an Umbreon this way, and I personally thought it was fun. I actually did it on a call with a couple of friends, so that's something else you can do as well. So, how to chain, like I said, going back to that, you want to keep defeating the allies till you reach your goal, either finding a rare or good Pokemon, or Eevee training your Pokemon. If your goal is to catch the new Pokemon, then you're going to want to make sure you put some kind of status condition on it. I personally am going to be using paralysis on an Espeon when I get it, so that way it won't go anywhere. A couple other things you need to know. Breaking the chain. If you run away, if you're forced out of the battle by Roar or Dragon Tail, it will break the chain. If the caller faints without an ally being present, it will break the chain. If the caller faints while the ally is not of the same family as the caller, you're going to break the chain. You don't want to do this. So you got to make sure that you always have a Pokemon on board that can call the Pokemon you want at all times. You don't necessarily have to worry about knocking out the very first one that you get down to 1 HP. You can knock that one out while another Eevee's on board, and you can get that one down to 1 HP. It doesn't make a difference. I like to hold on to the one that I have for as long as possible until I'm afraid that it's going to run out of PP for certain moves. Then I switch it out and go on to something else. So we're going to go ahead and just cut to the scene where this actually happens for me. It took about 45 minutes. Okay, guys, as you can see, we are back here again, and Eevee is calling for help, and lo and behold, here it finally is. An Espeon has finally appeared. This is after about 44 minutes of doing this trick. So the thing with this is, you see my Fomantis is down to 7 HP. I've wasted a lot of resources. I've used revives, I've used super potions, I've switched out countless times. I've used a lot of false swipes. As a matter of fact, I've used 32 false swipes to this point. And I've switched out to other Pokemon to attack and do things with. So, like I said, eventually you just kind of run out of things to do if you don't get it in time. But luckily, this time worked all right for me. So I did lose my Fomantis there. I got to get it back, so I need to heal it up. I got to revive it. I got to give it a super potion so that I can finally take down this Espeon. Like I said, I'm very careful with it. I know Espeon doesn't have the highest catch rate, but at this point, I think we can probably handle it. I've got enough resources to be able to do it. So I'm going to heal up that Fomantis. I'm going to get that false swipe back, and we're going to keep working on this thing. All right, I have inflicted my Espeon here with paralysis. I've got it down a little bit. Now I need to make sure I take care of this Eevee. So I'm going to use Mirror Shot on it, so I know that this move always hits unless, you know, Sand Attack or something affects it. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that thing out, and now it is just down to me and Espeon. So what I'm going to want to do here is switch back out to Fomantis and start using my false swipes over and over again. I'm probably going to take a few of them because false swipe is not a super powerful attack. It's only got 40 base power. So I've reset all of those baby doll eyes that came through. That was one thing that's really annoying. It lowers your attack and it's not fun at all. But now everything is reset because I switched out to Magnemite, and false swipe is finally putting in some work. So we see a Sand Attack come down, and that's going to affect my accuracy, but hopefully it doesn't affect it enough to the point where this next false swipe doesn't hit. That is that would not be good if we just keep missing our false swipes, but fortunately this one went through. So our health is down low enough to the point where I'm going to actually attempt to use a Great Ball here. And I thought about it, and while I was doing this, I really don't know why I went for a Great Ball when I have timer balls. This battle has been going on for over 44 minutes now, 45 minutes now. I think we're actually like at around the almost a 50-minute mark that I've been looking for this thing since we started, and the battle's been going on for about that long. So I throw a Great Ball, and I mean, it doesn't work. It pops right out. So instead, we're going to switch to a Timer Ball. Timer Ball is obviously a lot more efficient in this case. I should have just done it from the very beginning, but hey, you know what? You live and learn. Timer Ball, boom, there it is. We've caught our Espeon. So there you have it, guys. That is how you are going to be able to SOS chain for your very own Espeon on Route 4. You just got to make sure that you find yourself an Eevee. You've got to make sure that you don't knock it out, get it down to 1 HP, keep switching back and forth, false swipe, non-damaging moves until Eevee calls in what you want, knock out all the allies, and eventually you will get there for yourself. So good luck to you guys in your hunting. You can use this same exact method to chain for shinies. It's really cool. I like it a lot better than the other methods we've had in the past. I really do enjoy Sun and Moon a lot. It's really just a fantastic game. So with that being said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and of course subscribe for more content here on the Pokemon Evolutionaries. Not just TCG, but you know, maybe you'll see a video like this from time to time as well. So we'll see you guys in the next one. I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries. You all take care.